Well, here at home, a founding member of the Department of Homeland Security is telling his story about and get this, he was punished for identifying the links between radical Islam and the terrorist threat here in America. Get that. The links between them, he was punished because he revealed them. Ephraim Graham has that story.
Pat, whistleblower Philip Haney is set to testify before a Senate subcommittee tomorrow, and he told CBN's Jennifer Wishon about his experiences in Homeland Security, including why information about the ties between radical Islam and terrorism was erased from government records, and what the jihadis' long-term goal really is.
After the terrorist attack in Orlando, the Justice Department tried to redact all references the killer made to Islam during his 911 call. That blunder allowed the public to see the type of scrubbing that's been going on behind closed doors of the federal government for years. A systematic erasing of links between Islam and terrorism, according to Philip Haney, a longtime officer in the Department of Homeland Security.
They told me, we want you to eliminate, the word was modify, all the linking information in about 850 records that I put into the system on guess what group? The Muslim Brotherhood.
That was in 2009, 1 year after President Obama was elected. Haney says Obama relied on the Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamic groups with ties to terrorism to craft U.S. policy.
And in 2012 it happened again. This time they didn't just modify the information in the records, they completely eliminated them out of the system, erased them forever. And then they investigated me for putting that information into the system when that's exactly the job that I was supposed to be doing.
He's been investigated 9 times. At one point, he was picked apart by 3 federal agencies at once. Haney was exonerated, but through his experiences came to realize spiritual warfare is taking place at the highest levels of government.
I can't explain to you the ideology or the worldview of this administration that makes them so adamant to protect Islam from harm by addressing it in its true nature.
How has your Christian faith helped you get through all of this?
We're talking about very, very high-level, malevolent kind of forces here at work, and it is very sobering to see these kind of things operating. These are biblical level events that we're talking about.
His book, See Something, Say Nothing, details his tumultuous time at the Department of Homeland Security. After living in the Middle East and studying terrorism, Haney believes jihad is a tactic radical Muslims are using to achieve their goal of implementing Sharia law in the U.S., Europe, and around the world.
The power of Sharia is very difficult to exaggerate how much influence it has on the life of Muslims around the world.
You say this is a battle between the Constitution and Sharia law.
Are we going to submit to the influence of Sharia law and make it legal for one particular religion to have more than one wife? Or are we going to say, no, you cannot implement those provisions as long as you want to be a citizen of the United States?
What America needs, he says, is to focus on the Constitution.
And if you become more familiar with the Constitution, you'll be able to see more clearly the points of contact or conflict between the U.S. Constitution and Sharia law. And then you can discuss it without fear of being called a racist or a bigot or an Islamophobe.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Because we will not.
Eye-opening report. Pat.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, we keep hearing it, and if you say anything about it, you're just as he said, you're labeled an Islamophobe or a racist. But the truth is, we have a president. We have a president whose stepfather was a Muslim, whose stepfather in Indonesia put him in an Islamic madrasa. His father, actual father, was not an American. He was a Kenyan. He was a member of the Luo tribe who wanted to rebel against England and the West. And so he set down, of course, the fact that he was also an alcoholic and a womanizer got him fired from his job, but nevertheless, that was Obama's father. Now, Obama has visceral dislike for the standards that we have in this country. What he thinks is America is an oppressor, and he thinks that the nation of Islam or the Islamic countries should not be in any way called out for the action they have. Without question, the Muslim Brotherhood was the fountainhead of the radical groups that have been working in the Middle East. The Muslim Brotherhood spawned Hamas. The Muslim Brotherhood spawned Hezbollah. The Muslim Brotherhood spawned the Palestine Liberation Organization. And undoubtedly they have involved themselves in other radical groups. But their goal, a stated, announced goal, is to impose Sharia law on all the countries of the world. That's what they want. And the fact that they have been brought into the inner circles of the government of the United States. And then, for example, in the FBI terrorism manual, from what I understand, and I hope my facts are correct, 1,000 pages have been removed that mention all this about the Islamic extremists. But if we don't know who our enemies are, how can we fight them? And the object is we can't fight them. The government doesn't want us to. And it's shocking. It should be horrifying. And it's time the American people stand up against it. We're being taken over. It's a very subtle thing. Europe is being overrun and taken over. And country after country after country are facing Islamic extremists, and it is very hurtful. But if we can't identify who they are, we can't say, well, why are they doing these things? They must hate us because we're oppressors in the 19th century. That has nothing to do with it. It's at the core of their ideology. Read the Quran. It says it so clearly. And the people, ladies and gentlemen, get this the people who are distorting Islam are not these radical groups. They are following right down the line what the Quran says. The ones who are distorting it are the so-called moderates who refuse to go along with it. It's amazing. But we have got to do something in this country. That's why we're looking at a revolution in England. They may be looking for a revolution here in this country. We've had enough.